Hey there, beautiful quilters and creatives. Welcome back to the Quilters Coach podcast with Dara. I'm glad you're here with me today. As we move through November together, I want you to know that I'm committed to supporting you, not just through the holiday season, but throughout the entire year. So many of us start feeling that familiar tug of old patterns, whether that's reaching for food when you're stressed, clicking add cart when you're feeling empty, or scrolling endlessly while you should be resting. Here's what I've learned after losing 50 pounds and keeping it off since 2019 and coaching hundreds of quilters and creatives. You don't have a knowledge problem. We all know what to eat, how to budget, how to set boundaries. What we have is a thinking problem. When we don't know how to process our emotions, we distract ourselves instead. We shop, we eat, we scroll, we stay busy, and we try to get our worth from other people. But there's another way, and that's exactly what we're going to explore together this month. Whether you're struggling with buying more fabric than 3 lifetimes could use up, dreading upcoming family gatherings, or just feeling overwhelmed by everything on your plate, I've got tools that actually work. Not because they require superhuman willpower, but because they address what's really happening underneath all of those behaviors. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that I have something very special planned for those of you who are ready to go deeper with this work in November. I can't share all the details just yet, but keep listening. You're not going to want to miss this opportunity. So grab your favorite mug, settle in, and let's talk about how to navigate this season from a place of calm confidence instead of white-knuckled survival. This is episode 224, why you have such a large fabric stash, and what to do about it. Now, today's episode is going to be really interesting, especially because I just finished creating an amazing freebie for you. Now, I'm recording this actually in August, and it's coming out just 3 days after my birthday in November. I'm the kind of girl that likes to be ahead of the game. And this freebie that I made, I wanted to share it with you in this podcast, draw your attention to it. Essentially, it's 12 mini lessons on why we have so much extra fabric. For those of you who are watching the show, it was really on my YouTube. This is just one basket. It's actually overflowing. I have some really fun exercises in that course on what to do when you have all of this extra fabric. I have probably 10 or 12 of those baskets, plus the totes and all the unfinished projects and things. We're going to dive into that, get ready for the holiday kind of approach for this episode, but I do want you to know that free course is here. It really is amazing. I've heard great reviews about it already, and helps you understand that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. We just have some thinking problems that we need to work through. Today, we're going to walk through some different strategies that I know are going to be really helpful, especially this holiday season. They were just like you. They listened to this podcast. They watched me on Instagram. They found me at some quilting event, and they were really inspired. They wanted to change. This one comes from one of my clients who went to a celebration of life of her sister-in-law's friend. She wanted to be a support to her sister-in-law. She knew this person. And at the end, they had a microphone that was going around, and people were invited to share a memory to honor this life. In the past, she would never have done that. It would just be really overwhelming, so daunting. She decided, nope, I know how to do this. I know how to feel my feelings. And so she got the microphone and she actually told a story. She expressed herself, and afterwards, she felt so proud of herself. Does that have anything to do with weight loss? Yeah, it does. Because weight loss is actually a symptom. I did a webinar yesterday, and I talked about if you have a fever, if the doctor or the mother or the caregiver only just gives you only gives you Tylenol, they're just going to take care of the fever, but eventually you're going to run out of Tylenol. If you don't get to the reason why you have a fever, you're just going to constantly be needing more and more Tylenol. Weight loss is like the fever. Weight loss is saying, hey, I have a problem over here. It's like saying, hey, I have a problem. I don't know what to do. I keep turning to buying the fabric or saying yes when I really want to say no. The work that I do with women is really looking at, let's get to why you have the extra weight, why you have all this extra fabric, why you always feel exhausted and you don't ever do things for yourself. Today's episode is going to look at why we get those results that we're not super proud of. My goal is to help you be able to look at a common problem from a different perspective so that you don't have all that shame attached and you can finally start seeing it from a new way, and that will give you different insight. As I look at my stash, my closet, I've got this lovely wall of baskets. I know I'm not alone in this. I know if you're a quilter listening to this or creative, you probably have your own version of fabric abundance or whatever creative extras that you have. But here's the question I want to explore with you today. Why do we keep buying more fabric when we already have enough for 3 lifetimes? Before you think this is going to be a lecture about budgeting or organizing your stash, let me tell you it's not. Because the solution to fabric shopping isn't better storage systems or stricter budgets. It's understanding what you're really shopping for. Were you stressed about a family situation? Were you excited about a new project? Were you bored on a Saturday afternoon? Were you celebrating something good? Or maybe feeling down and needing a little retail therapy? Here's what I've discovered through my own experience in coaching hundreds of quilters. We rarely buy fabric just because we need fabric. We buy fabric because we're trying to feel something different than what we're currently feeling. When I was struggling with my weight and didn't understand emotional eating, I thought the problem was that I liked food too much. I didn't understand why I kept gaining all this weight. The real problem was that I didn't know how to process my emotions. And when I overate, I didn't have to feel my emotions so much. Fabric shopping works the same way. We don't know how to process our emotions, so we try shopping. We just try to shop them instead. I want to talk about 4 different emotions that drive fabric shopping. This is going to be really helpful as we go into the holiday season. The first emotion that drives fabric shopping is stress relief. When we're overwhelmed, that gorgeous new fabric collection feels like a promise of peace and creativity. And we think that it's so beautiful that it's just going to inspire us to get into action. But if we're constantly stressed, we aren't able to be creative. The second one is excitement management. When we're excited about a new project, buying fabric feels like we're taking action on that excitement. So how many of us, that excitement, it's like it's trying to override a normal human experience. I have to do this thing. And I have a whole section in my mini class. It's going to be the difference between want and need from a very emotional standpoint. The third emotion is boredom or emptiness. I have nothing to do today. Let me just browse online. When we're feeling restless or unfulfilled, shopping gives us something to focus on. This emptiness is a really big part. And the problem with this one is that when you feel empty, it's because you're not having the connection with yourself. The fourth is connection seeking. Everyone in the quilting group is talking about this new line. When we're feeling disconnected, buying what others have feels like we're joining the community. I see this a lot in the block of the month. And you feel like you have to belong to the tribe. We all inherently have a drive to belong. If we're in a Facebook group and we don't go in that block of the month, what starts happening? We don't feel connected. But then we don't have a lot of self-trust, so we don't follow through on the block of the month. So now what's happening? We feel less and less connected to ourselves, and that feels terrible. Of these, stress relief, excitement management, excitement's going to supersede all these other negative, boredom or emptiness, and then connection seeking. These are completely normal human experiences and emotions. The problem isn't feeling them. The problem is that we've never learned how to process them without distracting ourselves. What are your main distractions? What is a common routine you have with distraction? I want to do this thing. I'm going to research it. I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to look it up. But before I grab my phone, what am I going to do? I wonder who posted on Instagram. Her dog broke both his front legs, got hit by a car. That's terrible. And then you just go down that road. Her dog actually did get hit by a car and has 2 broken legs. That's so sad. So then we get all distracted with that. And then what happens? And then you scroll and you think, look at that. And next thing you know, 30 minutes have gone by and you're like, why am I on my phone again? Oh my goodness. This drains our energy. This takes us away from really experiencing what we want, right? This connection. We want to be creative. We want to have that. So my question is, what are you really shopping for? Here's the exercise I want you to try. The next time you find yourself reaching for your wallet or opening a shopping app, pause and ask yourself, what am I really shopping for right now? Am I shopping for comfort when stressed? Am I shopping for excitement when lonely? Am I shopping for control when life feels chaotic? Am I shopping for hope when I'm feeling stuck? The fabric can't actually deliver on any of these. But understand what you're really looking for. That changes everything. I remember a long time ago, my kids were little and my husband, I don't even remember what he did. He must have said something, or maybe he even said he was going to be home from work early and then he took on extra work or things got delayed. And so he didn't come home. He had to keep going. I was so mad. I was like, here I am again with all the kids. I still remember this. I loved that fabric line for some reason. I was just like, I'm going to show him. I still remember sitting in that office searching. And I was like, I'm going to buy that fabric. I don't think I'd ever bought fabric online. I'm very careful with all of that. I spent this time searching it all up, looking at all these different people, making all these decisions, thinking clearly about what I was going to do. And I remember hitting the add to cart button and purchase, thinking I'm going to show him. It was interesting because I had that same pattern with Dairy Queen. There'd be times where I would go to Dairy Queen and be like, I'm just going to buy that Blizzard. I'm just going to buy that Buster Bar. I'm going to show them. I was shopping because I didn't want to just process disappointment that my husband wasn't going to be home and that I wasn't getting a break from having all these responsibilities. I felt some resentment because he could just come and go. And I felt guilty because these were all my kids and I loved them. But it would be nice to go to the washroom by myself. Today I had a team meeting and both of the ladies on my team have little kids. They're like 3 and 5 and 3 and 6. It was hilarious. The whole time they were like, you want more snack? And I was just like, I remember those days. You just didn't have a lot of time to yourself. I was shopping because I was needing to reward myself for being a good mom. I was having this resentment. And so the thing is, the fabric couldn't make me, couldn't reward me. The fabric couldn't punish my husband. But what it was doing was it was asserting some sort of power. I felt powerless because I couldn't come and go whenever I wanted. It was a really interesting experience. That fabric, I actually did make an apron out of it. I did this experiment about 5 years ago. It was during COVID and there was a local quilt shop and they were really struggling. I thought, wouldn't that be nice if I spent like $50 at her quilt shop? So I decided I was going to spend $50 and it was one of the least exciting fabric shopping experiences of my life. I was like, okay, what do I buy? It felt so different than the anger shopping or the I'll get him shopping. The conversation that I had with myself about I'll show my husband, I never solved the problem. And I didn't ever have that resolution. So this is how you break the pattern. Here's what I teach my clients and what I'm offering for you today. Step 1, notice the urge without judgment. When I feel that urge to shop, I'm not going to shame myself. I'm just going to notice, it's interesting. I want to buy fabric right now. Step 2, Get curious. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What am I really shopping for? Not with judgment, but just genuine curiosity. Am I shopping for connection? Am I shopping for revenge? What is it that I'm shopping for? Number 3, just feel the feeling. Instead of distracting yourself with shopping, just sit with whatever emotion is there for a moment. It's not going to kill you, I promise. Remember, emotions or feelings are just a wave that goes through your body. Step 4 is choose your response. Now you get to decide, do you still want the fabric? Sometimes you will. Why this matters beyond fabric. Now you might be thinking, Dara, this is all well and good, but what does this have to do with my weight or emotional eating? Everything. The same pattern that drives fabric shopping drives emotional eating. When we don't know how to process emotions, we distract ourselves. Sometimes with fabric, sometimes with food, sometimes with scrolling, social media, or sometimes just staying busy. When we learn to recognize this pattern with fabric shopping, building the exact same skill you need to understand with emotional eating. The woman who asks, what am I really shopping for? Is the same woman who asks, what am I really hungry for? And that changes everything. So I want to challenge you this week. Here's what I want you to try. Before you buy any fabric, online or in person, pause and ask yourself, what am I really shopping for? Get curious about the emotions underneath the urge. Notice what you discover. I think you're going to be surprised. If you're shopping online, just put it in the cart and then come back the next day. If you really want it, you'll be back. And then you can make that decision from your higher brain. Learning to recognize your patterns, getting curious instead of judgmental, understanding what you're really looking for. This is exactly what we dive deep into inside my coaching program. Once you understand how this works with fabric shopping, you can apply it to emotional eating, stress management, relationship dynamics, to pretty much everything. It's not about having more willpower or being more disciplined. It's about understanding what's really happening underneath your behaviors and learning to work with your emotions instead of against them. You're not broken because you have a fabric stash. You're not weak because you sometimes shop your feelings. You're a human. The goal isn't to never buy fabric again or to have perfect emotional control. The goal is to understand yourself better so you can make choices from a place of awareness instead of reactivity. And speaking of choices, I mentioned earlier that I have something special for those of you who want to go deeper with this work. I can't share all the details yet, but if you want to be the first to know when I announce it, make sure you're on the email list at darathomason.com. This is the kind of work that transforms not just your relationship with food, but your relationship with yourself, and I can't wait to share more of it with you. Thank you so much for being here today. Until next week, keep creating beautiful things, including a beautiful relationship with your own emotions. I'm Dara, and this has been the Quilters Podcast. Take care.
If you aren't loving your current life and hear yourself saying things like, I should be happier, I should be getting more done, or question how productive and fulfilled you are, this podcast is for you. I'm Dara Thomason, professional quilter turned life coach for quilters, where I show you how to overcome obstacles like perfectionism, people pleasing, overeating, overcomplicating life, so that you can really start to enjoy your life by learning and using tools for your brain to help you transform your everyday living. Are you ready to make these changes? I'm ready to help. Let's start your transformation one UFO at a time.